Hey people, this is strictly for fans of Hebrew. There is nothing in here but reading this Hebrew. And I made this because I found a bunch of stuff and I didn't want to lose it when I was backtracking, so I could come find it later. I figured I'd just put this movie together and so I could catch it later. But I was looking at that word curse for did a movie on yesterday, and I noticed that it came up in the next chapter. And so if I'm boring you to death, y'all read this, and it's in the last 3 minutes of this video. But I hope y'all Hebrew fans enjoy this, and it's entertaining if that's what you're into. But this is Vios, to see. And when I was a kid, Vios con Dios meant to see you in the condition as arise, as allow. Condi as condition, os as allow. And they're trying to change the meaning of this word now too. But Vios means to see, to make the eye consume. You means the person reading this book. I got a friend who's big in the Jehovah's Witness, and he goes around and designs churches and stuff, and he doesn't even understand this. But this is the word I was following that got me here. This is cadaver. A cadaver. This is the dead, where it says died, and there's several words that mean dead here. But Vios, to see you a cadaver. This B doesn't have the dot. It's a V. Cadaver. Most, M-O-S-T, most, vomit to upchuck. Most people will upchuck when they see cadaver, and it's vav to, yod, make, empty to, and that empty is often called dead, but that's to vomit, to empty. Expired. There's your word for dead right there. The expired. E-X-P-R-D. O-I-S. O-I-M. Expired, to see, make from. O-I-M. Expired, how is. The dead. The reason this says frogs here is because in the Greek it'll use that word batrachonomy. In the batraxus, I think it's spelled a couple different ways. It's the batraxus, and there's an ancient book called The Battle of the Frogs and Mice, and so that's what they had give the meaning of frogs. But it looks like in atrocious, and that's not frogs. That's a word for something that's disgusting and atrocious. But to see you cadaver, most vomit to. Expired, how is. Expired, see, is the men might inhabit. Backward and forward, might, M-I-T. B is in, habit is, and the bash, the oyer. This is when they say is the city, and then bash is the fire. But the city, I believe, is O-R-I mostly, and it's where your word like factory. The ori, and it doesn't mean city, it means what's going on in the city, the factory. But this is the O-I-R, and this is more as the one doing the work, the whore, H-O-I-R, E-O-I-R, and it's the I make first, and so it's what you see first, what that city's known for, and the Statue of Liberty is the whore of New York, is what that means. The I make first. Bash, the cadaver. the dead. The vile dude. The vile, the rude dude, cadaver. Dig, D raised backwards and forwards, to dig through. The vile dude, cadaver, dig through. That'd probably be a good one there. A grave digger, they call David, DVD, D-U-D. Vile, V-I-O-L, V-I-A-L, vile dude. Cadaver, dig through. To rob the dead. Kosher is cool. The kosher zoo. And so this zoo, I've had a hard time trying to figure out exactly what it meant. And this is a good one to figure it out because we know what all the rest of these words mean. So I'm going to go back and look at this chapter later. The zoo. To dig through kosher, or to we're not sure kosher is what kosher means. Like I say, they change all these word meanings into Hebrew, but what we recognize in English and in Latin and French and Spanish usually fit better. Here's another one. The colors reads backwards and forwards with the tag. The colors his rule, the cadaver you raise. So he's either green or black when he's dead. The colors his rule, the dead you raise. The odd would most shame do, cadaver you raise. In it boss, cadaver you raise. But you see, there's a lot of them with this cadaver you raise. And this is one they say is day. It's just they use these cadaver as Scylla raise. How repo them is odd. They use these cadaver. How repo them is odd. They use these cadaver as ill. I-L-A is a lie. It's ill. It's where your word lie comes from. People reading it backwards, and it's a lie. But it's ill is an ancient word for a lie. As ill raise dibber. Oh God! So that's your dibber is your planter. And so some people get off on dibbering corpses is what it's talking about. The why, how, or who repo them is odd. They use these cadaver as ill raise dibber. And this is what I was looking for right here is this Orby. Remember that was the raven. They switched it up. Is the Orby cadaver you yell. And to love, read backwards, L-U-V. To love gave will his rule from love of Kemet. Add miss, back and forth, so it's M-I-S. It's an S when it's on the end, but it's an M at the beginning. Add miss the Orby. The Orby is the raven, or to orbit. That's what it means, to orbit, the birds circling over the cadaver. Them Zaba, them sacrifice. Them sacrifice with may who cadaver you. Sacrifice with who may cadaver you, kill you. By who would in Judah, by who would leave hand to cadaver you. And then when it doesn't start with the KL or the BNI and it has a tack in front of it, it's all Lars his rule. Lars means one who wears the crown of laurel, which is one who won the race, is what it means. Who wears the crown of laurel. But it's also Larcy, the thieves rule. All thieves rule. The cadaver, the death you bid. And this is another one I have to check on to figure out what this zoo means, being I know what all these other words around it mean. And to lose what cadaver have you. And you can see this often comes up with other words. They give the meaning of death because they changed all the words. But to shot, shit is usually to destroy or destroyed, anything like that. To shath, to the push, PSH, the posh. Wet foods to, the push wet foods to. Wet foods, that's like beer and wine. And prepare them. We can to lachics. Lost what cadaver have you? To bid the sun, the shamish, the smash, the sun. Vials, to see the milk cadaver. The milk is one they give the king. To see them like cadaver. Ben hand daddy, cadaver. Ben hand daddy of my uncle. Ben hand daddy, cadaver you. Lark's hexer, the mother. The mother's the prison. You know, the tet R is usually the rain, the mother is the rain. And yammer, ill fame, ill fun. Not to, NATO. Not to hands dyers. Not to hands dyers. The Tootin see Bontu. It's Bontu. Let the good times roll. Bontu role. Bontu, the good times. Raise. Bontu raise. Let the good times raise. And then all this will read backwards again. That's going to be a good one. So this is where I was reading when I got caught off on this word cadaver. Vios. To see you cadaver. Most wiser. To make the secrets first. The wiser. The why. Who secrets first. The orb. And remember, this is the exact same word that they said meant the raven in Genesis 6 when they turned out the raven. It was the orb. In 7. And he sent out a raven, the orb, O-R-V. O-R-B. Who sailed to enrow the orb. A raven. Same thing, O-R-V. This is now a swarm of, they just add the flies in there because they assume. And so I did a earlier video too, and I showed where the Pharaoh meant the lighthouse on Pharaoh's Island in Alexandria. And then after that, they just named all lighthouses Pharaoh. And being this book has to do with sailing and mapping and plotting, you can assume that means lighthouse. Advised to see you cadaver, to see you dead, most wiser. The raven from fire, from the Pharaohs, from the lighthouse, from Ovidiu, from serve you, and mom will, and MOMWLA, and mom will nicer Dow. Dow means worth, DHA. But yeah, I found this word, the orb that they gave the meaning swarm of flies. It came up 5 times. They said it meant a swarm of flies. And then the orb, which would still be a orvit of corvid, a raven. 9 times they're saying it means a swarm of flies. They just give it to flies because there's no flies in the word. But this is the word I was looking at when I found this: mapping the orb, mapping the corvid, mapping the raven, or mapping the orbit. You wiser, or you user, the orb from Pharaoh. The here's mapping the orb. And Vios, to see you. Con, to give seed, give cycle. To see you. Can, to con. To see you conwive, to make in. This is the word for father backwards, which reads the same ways either way. With the A in the front, it would read backwards. But it's the who in power, or the JBA, job, to work in knowledge. But it's the wive as in to make in power. The orv, to see you wive, orb, cupboard, the raven cupboard, to want, bite, pyro, in it life, the bite. The bite was used to seal your letter, to give your mark. You know, they couldn't match up your teeth. They used to bite the side of something, and it would be a seal. You know, in make seal life. You know, put a bite mark on your arm, and it looks like a circle with your seal in it, has your marks around it. The Paro, and in it, oved to serve to inculture drugs, Rex. From cries, from the X is given CH in the Greek. From cries, to shat was corrupted. To shat as in destroyed. To shat ears, mapping the orb, mapping the raven, mapping. This PNI was one of the first words I figured out when I started this. Ping, PNJ, ping is they always say it means face, and now it's because. But they'll give it, you know, in the presence of, in the face of, presence, but, and then the place, and then from the place is mapping. The face, mapping, the face, because the reason. They don't know what this means. That's why I'm trying to figure it out, because they don't have a clue. To accept, They just make all this up as they go along. In the presence, because of before. But yeah, I was mainly just making this so I don't lose my place, so I can go back and find these things. And so this is where I was reading when I ran into that, Deuteronomy 28, 28:20. And this mapping come up here, because of the wickedness of your doings. And until you perish quickly because of the wickedness of your doings. The mapping row from holic, like a workaholic, from all you do, from all lick, to bind, to make, fold, as in when I was talking about the chemical writings, a lick, like hydraulic, the water makes the lick, the work of the works to fold. And so this is how the world became flat. It looks like when Rome had translated this, and mapping is the wickedness of your doings. The mapping row from holic. You're rowing around the earth and mapping it from pings, from the places. And so I found that while I was reading the curses, 27. But this is the 10 curses on 27, and I saw there was more curses over here in 28, and so that's why I came over here to read them. And I don't even think I quite made it to them. But I get sidetracked a lot because I run into things like this. The same word they said means word, the dibber, or he said. What also means the plague, And so then I have to look up and see what other words mean plague, because we know this. If this means plague, then it talks about thousands of plagues, because this word dibber comes up thousands of times in the Bible. They say it means word. So that's why I get sidetracked often. And I run into things like this where they'll say several different words on the same page mean the same thing, with a severe burning fever, and in her, and in churcher, and in code hit, and this is because the surrounding words around these words will be used other times with just one word, and so they'll say it means fever in other places. And then they all come together at one time, and it just sounds totally silly because they're giving false meanings. But it usually, what'll happen is it'll be the other word that'll actually mean what they're giving this. We'll strike Yahweh, you, with consumption and with fever and with inflammation and with severe burning fever, and with the sword, and with the scorching, and with mildew. And the rain, the mother, MTHR, to give share, and then into the dust and powder. And so this looks like avak, but it's backwards. Abacus, they say, is that old adding instrument. And that's what that means, is dust and powder. In all your ancient writings, when it says, and he threw dust on his head, it means he took his stick and he was doing the math in the ground. He was thinking about what he should do, what would be the consequences to offer, and the cover to offer. And they pull up a new word and say it means destroyed too. Everywhere else it's the shit is destroyed. Now it's the shamdik, this matic, automatic, this matic. And so they're going to say this is carcasses, the niblet, the nibletic. And the old birds, they're the of called poo see up. The poo see up. You look up and you get poo in your eye. It comes from a bird. The Way It from Saga. A long story of heroic achievement, especially a medieval prose narrative in Old Norse and Old Icelandic. From Marie, from the ocean. Seeing, give, raise, tray. 3. So this is like it's going to be a really good chapter to learn a bunch of words. And I'm still looking for where it was talking about curses. That was last night, and I don't remember what number it was. It must have been way down at the bottom or way up at the top, because I haven't seen it yet. Here it is. The curse is the fellet. The call tool lift the fall. What? In bow aulic. In bow aulic. That's a kiss bus. Somebody keeps bowing down. Aulic. All make fold. In bow all make fold. And aulic. Alcoholic. Too much of. The call tool lift the fell. What? The fell is the tool to lift the fell is like a chain fall as a tool to lift the fell. We call them falls on the boat. A block and tackle would be called a fall, and that's a curse because they don't want anybody to have any kind of knowledge. The fall. And when you're in hunger, it's because somebody has enrobbed you. Enrove. I found that word rove in the mapping, and they give it another meaning, but it means, to wander. They say it means famine in rove, which, when there's no food, you're out roving, looking for something to eat. But it doesn't mean famine, it means rove. And though eagle is answer, and in this Orbis Pictus it'll say otherwise. The hoopoe, and the answer is the goose. Answer, gengri, the goose. And the language is a lesson to. This is the word they say is fruit all on the first page of the Bible. But now it's just the increase. And this is like it's going to be a real good chapter to learn a bunch of words that are mistranslated. The vocalit before count in, K-N-T-N, reads backwards. Before you count in, thank. To occullet before count and thank. Ensure. The bank. And venue. Your daughters are not, you see there's not a dot in this one. And so it's the venue, to something to look at, the daughters. Usually it says beans and venue. The sons and daughters is food and a show. Beans and venue. The cut of is that are written. These at the cut of is in cipher. Here's another word for the plagues upon you. To take it. The T-A-K-T-K. The take from cut, give. And so that sounds like an infection you get from infected cut. The take from cut, give. And the godel, what? The godel is a screw. But this chapter 28, it starts with all these blessings and the broke. If you're broke, you're blessed. The broke, you're blessed. Be thankful. We're all blessed. And then it'll get into the plagues after all the break, after all the blessings. And so, being they made blessings kind of the opposite as in being broke, this word for curse might mean blessed. You see, this word for treasures is it start here TAURX, the treasure. Reading backwards, it's treasures. To the right and the left is the Jimeon and the small, right and left. And here's the curses at 16. It will come upon you all the curse that these and overtake you. So this is what I was wanting to get to, and this is written in Rebus, ancient Rebus language. It starts with A, it reads backwards, the Ruru, and it means butt fuck. You curse you, damn it, damn you. The tab, the TABOIR, the tabber, the one writing up my tab. I'm drinking beers, and you're marking my tab down. And then it starts with a vav here, and so it doesn't read backwards now, because A is the second letter. And so it's to error. The tabber made an error. It too, him, the one, it too, the one writing the tabs inside. The curse, the tabber, to an error, it too inside. He made a big error and counted way too many beers on my bill, and I'm not paying all that. Curse him. You don't pay it, he's gonna cut you off, but yeah, curse him. You can curse him, but you still got to pay it. And that's what it says here. Curse, Ruru, and thank, and from sort give. You still got to pay your bill, but you do get to curse him. But his tip's going to be light. And you can see it here again, the Ruru, the curse, the tab back. To error. And this isn't curse and curse. This is curse and error. And the error, it too, ensatic. You remember a couple movies back, I was finding this word, and it kind of means, ecstatic, in great enjoyment. When the error is in your favor. The curse, the tab back, when the error, it too ensatic. In your favor, you're really happy. Alright, I'm going to cut this off here. Like I said, I was just making this so I didn't lose my place. I found so many new words. And I'll probably make a big movie on this whole chapter. This is good. It has a lot of different words that we can see the meanings of in other older books and just general knowledge that we already know. Alright, good day.